is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we are here to talk about Detroit Lions training camp. And this is actually sort of a sad video of Lions training camp. I don't want it to be, but it sort of is. This is the last training camp video I have for you guys. Unless we get some alerts outside of me going to training camp, this was the last day open to the public. So this is pretty sad, but I was able to go to the season ticket members training camp, and I got some takeaways on what was a very exciting, I would give it explosive, training camp day. So let's get it started.
Way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off, and we're going to stand up, and then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down. And on the way up, we're going to take your other kneecap, and we're going to get up, and then it's going to take 3 shots to get us down. And when we do, we're going to take another hunk out of you. Before long, we're going to be the last one standing.
And welcome everybody to our video. Glad you guys are here. And I got to give a couple of shout outs before we get into this video. First off, of course, my man Michael Banks, he hooked me up. Go back to the first practice, which was season ticket members only as well. Coach Jones hit me up and he, gave me his tickets to go, and that was absolutely amazing. I appreciate him. And this time it was Michael Banks who, invited me to go along with him. So it was really awesome, the fact that I was able to go to these 2 practices, because I don't have season ticket members. So I really appreciate you guys. I only missed 1 training camp day. That's it. Only missed 1. And then the other one got rained out. But I was there for every day except for 1. So it was a pretty amazing experience. I got to meet a lot of you guys there. And on this day in particular, I got to meet a lot of new people as well. Of course, the season ticket members, they always bring the energy. And by the way, Michael Banks, like, my goodness, you want to talk about energy. Sit next to that guy. He brings it. I love it, but he brings it, man. He brings it, man. But I got to meet a whole bunch of new people, which was awesome. Got a lot of pictures. And then, of course, I got to see my man that I saw the first time. I got to see it from the first practice. He was there again. We got a picture again. And I got a lot of pictures I'll probably be throwing up as we go through this video. But appreciate all of you. All of you. It's absolutely amazing to get to meet all of you. If I wasn't able to meet you through training camp, hopefully at some point we do. But I know a lot of you, I got to put names, to faces. It was a great opportunity for me to meet people that, watched my channel that I may have never met otherwise. So I appreciate you guys. It was an awesome experience. But now let's get into some of these takeaways, because we got them all. And also, I got to give a shout out to the security guys and stuff like that. Really cool security guys at training camp. I mean, the guys on the entrance, I saw the same dude every time. Really cool guy. One person actually recognized me from my channel. That was a security person. I only saw him once, but that was pretty awesome as well. And all the people working in the front. It's just a great environment over there. But now let's get into these takeaways. Now, this one may be a little bit different because I don't have all these situations exact, but it was a situational day with the pads on. Oh yeah, the pads were on. And they were competing. They were going at it. This, you could argue, was the most energized day of training camp. Seriously, I won't know if I would say that, but you could argue. There were some scuffles. There was a lot of energy. But it was also probably the most fun to watch. And my goodness, was Goff flinging that thing. I don't know if it's because the season ticket members were there or what, but he was throwing some monster dots. And it was entertaining as heck from both sides, even defensively as well. Let's start off with a couple of the injury updates that I want to go through before we get into some of my drill takeaways. And then, of course, the scrimmages, because it was pretty amazing. So, a couple players. First off, Levi was there. He looked pretty much full go. The guy had a sack. All right, Levi had a sack. So, anybody that's waiting for that Levi news that's like, I want to hear it. The guy had a sack. So, there you go. That should pump you up. And that came when they were doing their little scrimmage. Rashad Perriman looked pretty much full go. He may have been a little bit limited, but he was out there much more. I think we'll see him on Saturday. And, man, did he make a catch. We're going to get to it, but he made a crazy catch. Still no TJ Hockenson. I did not see TJ Hockenson there. I did see DeAndre Swift, but DeAndre Swift was not in pads or really anything like that. He was kind of just walking around. He's in street clothes, I think. So DeAndre Swift was not practicing either. Don't expect to see those 2 guys this weekend. Corn Elder was there once again. This time he was running off to the side, but he was not in individual drills or team drills, but he was running off to the side. So that's a good step in the right direction. Now, if you want to know about some of the latest roster moves we made, well, that, my friend, that is in our last video. Tim Boyle was just going through individual drills, not really team drills on this day of practice. He was out there, though, which was a big deal. We added Jordan Ta'amu. There's a lot of moves that we made, so you got to go check out my last video. But Ta'amu was there. Of course, we have a new long snapper this season, which is pretty wild. And I want to start off with a couple of notes I have from drills. Now, this isn't like the normal where I have like all these notes from the, drills, wide receiver versus DB. Because they didn't do it very long, number 1. And number 2, they did them all at the same time. They had offensive line versus defensive line, receivers versus defensive backs, and then they had running backs try to pick up blocks, and it was like, okay, this is just too much. So I only got a couple notes as I looked around throughout the drills. And a couple ones that stuck out to me. I'm probably missed some things, but a couple that stuck out to me. First off, Amon-Ra St. Brown hit a nasty down-out up route. Woo, that was pretty. That was pretty. He got deep on the wide receiver versus defensive backs. But to give the defensive backs some love, because Amani, He showed up a little bit in the last training camp video we did. He had an interception. Oh, yeah. Oruwariye got an interception. He jumped underneath, like, route over the middle to Geronimo Allison in these one-on-ones, and he came up with a pick. It looked like the ball was held for a long time as though if he couldn't get open, and then Amani jumped it, he made the interception. That was cool. It was, like, perfect timing, too. As soon as I looked over there, he picked it off. And one more note, Nickel Roby-Coleman had a really nice pass breakup, which Aubrey Pleasant, you could just see him on the side. He was losing it. That dude's energy is through the roof, and you could see it when Roby-Coleman had this PBU. His confidence is really growing, and it's awesome to see that. I only really had one note from the running backs versus linebackers trying to pick up blocks because it was so far away and there was guys in front, so I couldn't really see. But I did note Jason Cabinda got beat once, but it was a very physical drill. It's a good drill for practice. You know, Deuce Staley, he needs his guys to be able to block. So it's good for guys like Jamar. It's good for everybody, to be honest. But that's the one note I had, and I didn't get much more notes from that because I didn't see it that well. Defensive line versus offensive line. This is really got to see that energy just start going through the roof, and then we saw it in the scrimmage later. The guys were going at it. And this was no, like, hey, we're going to walk through the motions. The pads were on, and they were playing physical. It was fun to watch. I wouldn't even call it scuffles, but I would call it like players getting in each other's face, yelling, kind of getting in a group, having to pull them apart a little bit. And it really came with Dan Skipper. Dan Skipper was getting into it with a few guys. Him and Bruce Hector, you know, were really battling. There was one where Bruce Hector threw this dude down after the play, but Dan Skipper battled. Don't count Skipper out. He battled like crazy. Competitiveness, the fierceness throughout this entire drill was awesome. PJ Johnson did a pretty swim move, and I didn't expect to see that out of him, so I had to write that down because it was just pretty, considering, you know, how big that dude is. You don't expect some of that, but he may have more pass rushing upside than we know. And Skipper went to battle. Romeo had a sack. The energy was through the roof. I mean, Austin Bryant, these guys were hyped up, and they want to earn spots. You know, you could see the energy. Austin Bryant was hopping up and down. Guys were clapping. They were going at it. I mean, it was vicious, but it was also really cool. And then after the drill, you got to give credit because I saw Big V, you know, he put his, you know, hand on one of the defensive linemen's back. I can't remember who it was. Was it Aleem? I can't remember for sure. But then after, it's like, hey, it was just the drill. We're still the team, but we went to battle. And Skipper getting into it. It was nice to see that out of him. You know, he was just going to sit down and let it happen. He's like, okay, I'm a battle. The way I broke it down was kind of how I did the last one, play by play, my best that I could. And we'll fly through this time, okay? Trust me. But there was really some big plays every drive that I had to point out. So I wanted to kind of go through each one. Don't have the exact times because it was very confusing. The Lions mixed it up a lot, so you couldn't really tell always completely what situation it was. But we started off with his 1 versus 1s. And when I say that, keep in mind it was very mixed. Like it was at the last practice mixed. I mean, sometimes they throw out the first string defensive line, second string linebackers, first string secondary, from what we believe. And then they throw out the second string secondary. And, you know, they'd mix it like that. And I think it's just to get different players working with different personnel groups just to see who really vibes the best. You know, where's the communication lines between the linebackers, those little things. So, I mean, they were mixing it a lot, and they did the same thing offensively as well. Different receivers. Running backs were mainly Jamal and Jamar through these drills with the first team, but with the second team, you know, we got to see a mix of guys like Godwin, things like that. So it was definitely a nice mix, but defensively, they kept it rotating like crazy. Defensive line, we saw Hector, you know, to see Levi. They mixed it up a ton. So just keep that in mind as we go through this. But it started off 1 versus 1s, and the defense, they won the first rep. It started off with the Will Harris just blowing up a play in the backfield. I mean, they absolutely had no chance. And it started off with that. Everybody's like, whoa, like, hold up. Will just exploding into the backfield, making a play behind the line of scrimmage. He had absolutely no chance. As soon as he got the snap, and he brought a blitz because, of course, it was a safety coming in, and he had no chance. We've seen that. We've seen the safety blitzing. We've seen the defensive backs blitz. But we've also seen Will attack and get in the box. And, man, he just looks his most comfortable in that situation. And that's where the Lions are using him. They're asking him to do that so much more. They're not asking Tracy to really ever go into the box. Will's in the box a lot. And when he's in there attacking, gosh, man, that guy just looked comfortable. We saw it on Friday. He made that big hit to help come down on a third down play to get the Bills off the field. He just looks super comfortable attacking the line of scrimmage, and that's what we saw to pop things off. Then we came back with the Jared Goff scramble where shout out to the offensive line. They gave him all day. He just couldn't find anything. He's kind of scrambling away and running out of bounds, and I think he picked up 3 yards. It ended up being like a 3rd and 9. And then Romeo Cora got some pressure. There was multiple times I listed his name because he was getting after it. And again, it's kind of tough because they're not able to hit the quarterback, so you can't really tell if it would have been a sack or not. He may have got back there, but he didn't grab him. He kind of just runs by, and they blow the play dead if they believe it would have been a sack. So sometimes it's a little bit tough to gauge. Regardless, though, Romeo was bringing pressure off the edge. We got a nice little out route here to Kalif Raymond, who, just keep in mind how many times I mentioned Kalif Raymond during this video, please. Out route, but it was short. It was a 4th and 1, and then we got the punt. Of course, Jack Fox punted away. Tom Kennedy returned. All right, keep that in mind. Kennedy was the first returner out there. Then with the second offense, led by David Blau, we start off with a sack, a loss of 7. I didn't see who this was. Unfortunately, I didn't see who got the sack, but I believe it was a lineman. Then we came back with Jamie Collins. I haven't talked much about Jamie. Jamie Collins jumped on an out route by the tight end and had a pass breakup. Whoa, that gave me some throwback vibes to pick. Actually, we have talked about this before, but this was cool to see. He just jumped underneath and knocked it away, reaching that long right arm of his out there, knocking it away for the tight end. Third and long situation because Jamie showed that ability to recognize and just dive on it, read the quarterback size and get on it quickly. Then we're in a third and long situation. They went to a little underneath drag, which Allison picked up a nice gain. He made it a 4th and 2, but they ended up punting. So defense did their thing early, no question about it, and that was a 3 and out the defense forced. They punted it away. And then Goff got to go against the second-string secondary. And even during the drive, they would mix this. But first-string defense, kind of mixed, but second-string secondary. And this is when Goff started to pop off, and he just kept going. It was like there was no stopping once he got rolling. You know what I'm saying? It was like building a snowman. You just rolled down the hill, and he just started bam, bam, bam. And once he got going, it was like, who is this? Seriously, I was like, who is this guy? He's just taking shots. It started off with Jamie Collins, who blew up the run for a loss of 5. So 2 times Collins making a play, backfield twice for the defense. That's awesome to see them get back to clean. It's not good for the offense, but it's good for the defense to make some plays, get some things behind the line of scrimmage. That's what this defense is built for. I mean, if you didn't see it against the Bills, you weren't watching the game right. We saw it a ton, and we saw it here from the starting linebacker, which I didn't think he was fantastic in the Bills game. Not at all. So it's cool to see him flash, and I hope he brings that to Saturday if he plays on Saturday. Then Jared Goff had a little bit of time to pocket, went underneath, dumped it off, it fell incomplete, and you could just kind of hear the chatter like, oh, what's he doing? You know, he's dumping it off. We got to take a shot. There's one-on-one opportunities. Take the shot down the field, Jared Goff. What are you doing? And Goff was like, okay, no more of this playing around stuff. I'm going to push the ball down the field. And that's what he did. And it really just went on from here. Jared Goff threw a dot to Kalif Raymond down the right sideline on a vertical route on Bobby Price. Now, Price struggled a little bit. He got beat a couple times. But in Kalif's name again, but you're going to hear it many more times. Got past the cornerback, diving out, just dropped it in the buck. It was pretty to see him put it over the cornerback and really to the side of the safety. We saw that flashing occasionally, but it was cool to see that in the scrimmage. No hesitation, just stepping up and taking a shot deep. And you could see the chemistry and trust, because I think it's more, and this is what we talked about past, it's not only just the secondaries playing well, but it's also that trust that he's got a game with these receivers to say, hey, I trust you, I can put it up there. And if you're in a spot where I, think I can get it there, I trust you to go make a play, and that's what he did. He trusted his guys. There was a very strong trust there between him and his receivers on this day in particular. And this is what really set off. Kalif got deep, first down on a 3rd and long. It was pretty. I even wrote it was pretty. That, it was a good thing. Came back, hit St. Brown on an out route, which put him at the 35-yard line. It was a 3-yard gain. Then, next play, Romeo Okwara gets some pressure off the edge again. He's going against Penei Sewell. So that was the battle there. Like I said, there's no better guy to go against in pads than Romeo Okwara. Seriously, that's the battle you want. But again, Jared Goff came back and said, let me take the top off. Trusting his guys. This time he trusts Tyrell Williams, who looked like he was running like a deep post. He was in the left side of the end zone. This is from the 35-yard line, not their own, but from their opponents. Took a shot deep left. We've been hearing this more and more as training camp has been coming towards an end. And he took the shot to Tyrell, put it on him in the corner left side of the end zone, and they scored. Just 2 big bombs on the drive, and just in a couple plays are in the end zone. It was those chunk plays that the Lions were picking up, which you just haven't seen consistently. But also give credit to special teams. They were on their game. I didn't count any misses. Unless my angle is just terrible and I can't tell what's going on, I wasn't sure. I even had to ask some people next to me, but they said they made it too. Bullock, Zane, they were both good to go, and they both made their 50-plus yard kicks. And 2 of them were well over 50. We're talking probably 55-yard range. They both knocked them down in-game situations through their scrimmage. They would stop. They'd bring them on the field, offense versus defense, and they knocked them through. So the kickers were doing their thing. I noticed Bullock, his hook's a lot more left. So I'm thinking at the end of games, we're going to want to get him to the right side. And Zane Gonzalez, he looked a little bit shorter on some of these, not all of them, but he's a little bit more down the middle. Regardless, they knocked through their kicks, and that was just good news for the back-to-back day. Second day in a row, we've heard good things from Randy Bullock in terms of kicking, or we've seen good things. Playing as if they were down by 7, and they were in the red zone for the 20-yard line. We started off with the Jamal Williams 2-yard run, and rushing the ball is just so hard in these because they don't really tackle them. They just kind of grab them, and it's like, oh, blow the play dead. So it's not really like an opportunity to break tackles, things like that, which makes it tough. But, again, we got another shot here. This one, again, to Kalif Raymond in the corner of the end zone from Jared Goff. Maybe further back. It could have been from out to 23. I couldn't tell because it was on the other side of the field. But this one, I don't even know if he got his feet down. They called it a touchdown, but he looked like he was flying. He had 1 foot up in the air. It looked like a college football, go up and get it towards the side of the end zone, towards the pylon, and he just toe-tapped that thing. You could see the celebration after the grab from the entire offense, the roar from the crowd. It was a thing of beauty. But notice how many times I've already said Kalif Raymond. Kalif Raymond just finds a way to get open. Kalif's going to be a problem this year. I'm just saying it right now. He's going to be a problem. Regardless, they called it a touchdown, so they were back in the end zone. Then coming back with another scenario, it was an 8 minutes on the clock, down by 7. It started off with the Jamal Williams 4-yard run, but this is when we saw a little scuffle. This is why I'm noting this, because this came from, get this, the cornerbacks and Taylor Decker. What the heck? Here's what happened. So it was a run between the tackle and the left guard, and Amani Oruwariye shot into the play. And I'm not sure what was said between the two, but there was definitely a little bit of argument going back. And there was, I mean, it was intense between Amani and Decker. Okuda comes over, he gets into it a little bit, and these guys are just barking back and forth. I mean, this went on for a little while. You got guys coming over talking, and they're like, okay, we got to, let's not let this thing escalate. It's the competition, just the battle. I mean, they want to beat each other, which is going to make them better. This is what Campbell wants. He doesn't want guys throwing punches and fighting and beating up each other. That's just dumb. But what he wants is this. He wants this competitive spirit where it's like, I'm not backing down. I have something to say about it. It's that competitive little scuffle. It's not like it was a fight, but, they were going back and forth, exchanging some words, and everybody was taking note of it. And actually, what was cool is after this drive, Jared Goff actually went over, I think it was to Amani, put his arms around him and walked off trying to talk to him. Like, hey, I don't know what he was saying. I want them to have that same energy against Green Bay, against San Francisco. Throughout the game, I want them to bring that to an opponent. And now you're a brotherhood, you're a team. Let's go bring it to them. Let's all play with that kind of spirit. And that's just how the defense been playing, fast, aggressive. Let's get after it. Back with another run where Bruce Hector gets a stop, and then on third down, Trey Flowers ends up getting a sack here. So yeah, there's pressure. And this time it was Trey Flowers that got into the backfield. Then we're led by David Blau the next drive, and it starts off with a run to Godwin Igwebuike. It was something, okay? I'm sorry. It's Cephas short, then Godwin has a 1-yard run. It wasn't really much to that drive. So the good thing is that our defense stood up against the, second string offense as they should. But then Jared Goff back on the field. And like I said, he just kept this up. He kept it up all day. We're starting at different spots. Another shot to Kalif Raymond, and this one was pretty. Even Michael Banks said to me, he's like, "Oh my!" He was excited. This guy was super pumped. But it was pretty. He dropped it between the cornerback and the safety. Just dropped it right into the zone, kind of like the Tyrell pass between the two. Dropped it into the zone on the sideline, probably at least 15 yards on that gain. Then they came back with a Jamal Williams arrow route, which put him at about the 35-yard line. It was a big game. Defense was playing, don't let anything behind us, and that's why Kalif didn't get completely behind the defense, behind the cornerback in front of the safety in the zone coverage, and then, of course, Jamal attacked underneath, and because after that play, we got a spike with 10 seconds. It was a situation where the Lions had to score. They had to score, and they were about from midfield maybe to start the drive, so they didn't have a lot of time. Defense was not allowing anything deep, and that's what they did a good job of. They allowed the things underneath, which would waste the clock. We got the spike with about 10 seconds left. Then we came up with a throwaway. I think it was a throwaway. He hit the goalpost. I think it was a throwaway in the back of the end zone. There was no one back there. We only have 5 seconds. We need a touchdown. No field goal is an option here. And Jared Goff rolls out, and guess who he throws it to? Can you guess he throws it to Kalif Raymond on kind of like an in route in the front of the end zone? And this time it was iffy. Melifonwu. So again, it wasn't always a starting secondary. Melifonwu made the pass break up to basically what would have ended the game in this situation. And they went to a drill where they had kind of like one play from the 50-yard line, and this almost kind of brought back some Friday vibes of like, hey, we got a little bit, very limited amount of time. We got like one play to do this. We got to make it happen. And this, of course, was led by Jared Goff. The first time it fell incomplete. Good coverage down the field, fell incomplete. I think he targeted Quintez Cephas, but it fell incomplete, and didn't work there. So obviously they brought the field goal unit out. They moved him up and they knocked him through, like I said. But then they did it again, and they brought up, guess what, the swinging gate. Now, if you don't know what that is basically they put a lot of players on one side, center and the quarterback, no other offensive lineman. They put a couple guys on the right. Some variations here, and here's an example of the Indianapolis Colts doing it. Now, let's just say ours worked better than this. It's actually more concerning for the defense that Jamal ran as far as he did without really getting touched. It was great blocking on the outside. We just wanted about 10 yards. 10 yards, maybe get out of bounds. So we get that long field goal range, 15 yards, right? Get a lot of blockers on one side. It was a simple play. They kept it simple. They were struggling over the middle. And again, this takes me back to the Friday game. They kept it simple. They said, let's throw a heavy screen basically on this side. And it worked. Not like this. But don't tell me A-Lin don't have creativity. Actually broke this. He may have had a touchdown. I don't know. He may have been caught, but he went a long way. 9 seconds on the clock. And again, Goff it's just something about the attacking defense. I think he was just comfortable and he was confident. He was feeling himself. He just kept pushing it. Started off with a deep shot left side to Quintez Cephas. It was a duck, no question, it was a duck, but it was a back shoulder throw. Cephas made a heck of an adjustment, playing through the coverage, made a great catch. Man, the receivers were on something. I think it was the crowd effect. I think we have an effect more than people think. I really do. But either way, Cephas made a great adjustment to the ball, back shoulder pass. It was a well thrown decision because the cornerback was running with him, so the throw back shoulder towards the sideline was great. It was just kind of a duck, but credit to Quintez Cephas for being able to come down with it, make a big play on the football. I think this one was also on Bobby Price as well. Went to Tom Kennedy over the middle, who had about 10 yards. And then we got to see Brashad Perriman, a guy we haven't heard about a ton. He's been kind of limited. He made, I wouldn't call it the catch of the day because there was a fantastic one, which we're going to get to, but you could make a case it was. He threw a shot, vertical route, one-on-one, Brashad Perriman. And Perriman, it was nice to see this. You knew this was in him. And I think this is the confidence builder he needed. Toward the end of practice, to leave on this note, this is what he needed. One-on-one opportunity, jump ball, go up and get it. And you saw this guy sky up, high point, bring that ball down about the 4-yard line. Huge gain, not a lot of separation, good coverage. But Goff said, I trust you. Put it up for grabs. Use the size advantage. And Brashad Perriman did what Brashad Perriman got to do. Made a high point grab at the 4-yard line. Back quickly with a Tom Kennedy slant, which he scored a touchdown from about that spot. Tom Kennedy gave us a nice spike to really end practice. And guess what? Sewell then picked it up and spiked it as well. And said, let's run one more play. And that's what they did. So they did one more play from about the 10-yard line, which is kind of what they did before where they were unable to score. And this time, Goff, everybody had to move back. They were all up, right? Because all the coaches are against it. Goff gets it out of shotgun, rolls back, and everybody just starts backing up. All the coaches are like, oh, snap, he's coming back. Gives you a whole scramble. This scrambles all the way around, turns all the way around. The pressure's getting to him, rolls out left, and he just fires it into coverage. And the ball is tipped up. And guess who's there? Quintez Cephas. Cephas catches the ball off the tip, scores a touchdown, and that's how we end the day. It was a very, very cool day of practice. I mean, it was fun. Things to look out for in Saturday's game, and we'll get to this more tomorrow. I want to save some of this for Red, for my show with Red, and it actually should be on this channel. We were moving it back to this channel. But what I noticed from practice, they're also working on, first off, red zone offense. It's where we're against the Buffalo Bills. Obviously, we didn't get to punch it into the end zone. We didn't have a great run game. So I think as a whole, the run game is something I'm going to be watching for. But I think in practice, when we say, well, we can't really judge the run game because I'm actually tackling, what the coaches get to do, and it's hard to, from a spectator's perspective when you only can see it once from one angle, but I think it is about them picking up assignments, picking up their blocks in games. If they can do that, the running back can do what he can do once the ball is in his hands. They just need to pick up their assignments. And I think that's what they're working on at that starting unit, because it is a different offensive scheme, but also that red zone offense. And we've seen good, but we've also still seen some bad through training camp, inability to punch in the end zone. And a run game will change it like crazy. It absolutely will. So I'm not saying we're going to have a problem down there, but it is just something to look for. I mean, we had the drop by St. Brown. We did score in the red zone today, and then sometimes we get stopped. Individually, Bobby Price. It's someone the Lions are giving a lot of reps at cornerback, and we're going to see how, he adjusts. But Bobby Price been getting a lot of snaps at that spot. And, he definitely struggled a little bit, but he's getting high reps. They're putting him out there, they're challenging him. But I like to see the chemistry with Goff and some of these receivers growing. You see confidence in guys like Roby Coleman. Really, the secondary as a whole is just growing in terms of confidence. I mean, that's just what I see. And even the linebackers. For everybody, it's new. For a lot of these linebackers, even the young guys, even a Jamie Collins, it's new. It's a little bit different than what they did before. So, aside from Alex, this is something that's different. So for them, they're adjusting. So I think just in terms in general, everybody's getting more comfortable, and you can see that they're starting to click. You can see big plays on both sides. Just some standouts. The connection between Kalif and Goff is legit. The defense made plays in the backfield. Jamie, Will. I mean, you see it, but you also see the energy. I'd say that's the biggest takeaway, because sometimes it's hard to gauge, like the run game, things like that. But trust me when I say this team had that competitive spirit, and maybe it was because it was the last practice, but they came with it, and I just appreciate it. Again, I appreciate you, Michael Banks, everybody that said what's up. You guys are absolutely awesome. You guys make this thing what it is, and I hope to see you again. If I haven't seen you yet, hopefully I get to see you soon, maybe this season. But anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you, Piper, for watching, and I'm out.